Yes, ma'am. Finally, a CBI investigation has been recommended. Bihar government has recommended it, and a notification has also been issued in Sushant Singh Rajput case. There's a lot of development in Disha Salian case also, which I will like to discuss with you. But first, does this bring some kind of a happiness in on your face, some smile on your face?
Yes, surely. Can you hear me? Is the voice okay?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear. Loud and
look, for the case to go to CBI or SIT is very important, because what happens, like when my case went to CBI, as I told you in my previous interview as well, Sunil, that CBI was going on the right path. They dismissed the suicide story. They dismissed that police concocted the breakup bouquet story. And they were going after the ligature, the dupatta, right? And the police made it very difficult for them. Police did not give them the relevant reports until 2017. Do you understand my point? Jia passed away in 2013. The case went to CBI in 2014, right? 2015, CBI took 15 months in investigation. Usually doesn't take that much time. 15 months, they did not get the from police. So I can completely imagine the frustration of Bihar police that when Mumbai police did not give it to CBI, and so why will they give it to Bihar police? So think about it. They did not give, and what happened? The CBI officer, whether he came under pressure or compromised or got influenced, that is a very big question mark for us. But halfway through, he charged the he filed the charge sheet. When we send all the forensic reports, now what happened at least CBI came up with some truth, and then we can see that what happened to CBI, who was going on the straight path and suddenly took another path. Do you understand me? And got complicit with Maharashtra state. Or was it due to Bollywood mafia pressure? Was it because CBI and police at the end of the day is hand in glove? It's like police is also CBI, CBI is also police in a way. It's a different sections. So my thing is that this case to go to CBI is very important, because some light will fall, and from that light we can cross the tunnel. We can go to the goal. Like we have reached our goal.
The difference that happened, ma'am, in Jia Khan's case. So yes. Jia Khan case mein he fought, and a CBI investigation was ordered in 2014. The difference between Jia Khan case and Sushant Singh Rajput cases, or I will.
There is no difference. No, Sunil.
I will tell you, ma'am. There is a difference. I feel. I will tell you. Explain you what difference I feel. Also, very soon you will see Disha Salian case getting attached to this. Very soon, it has to be reinvestigated. There is no point. There is no question of not being reinvestigated.
True.
Because new facts are coming and they are being brought out by very senior politicians.
Yeah, because it's a serial killing. It's a serial killing.
Yes.
Same people involved. Yes.
It appears. Yes. It appears so. So then, in that case, in today and that day, the difference is today the social media has been so active that Sushant's family is getting that support. You did not get that. Sunil, that's the difference I was saying.
Yeah, Sunil, you cannot fool everybody all the time. You can fool them for some time. In Jia Khan's case, when I was saying my daughter is not depressed, and all the film fraternity came to say, to endorse the depression story, especially Mr. Mahesh Bhatt. Oh, depressed. I said, no, sir, she was not depressed. And he shouted at me at the funeral, saying, chup ho jao na to tumhe bhi injection deke sula denge. अब आप बताइए, इस तरह की बातें कोई करता है किसी के funeral पे? And then there were other actors,
this is Mahesh Bhatt.
This was Mahesh Bhatt, who is telling me when he depressed, and he had all the media around him. And I said, no, sir, she was not depressed. We have never seen Mahesh Bhatt after the first episode when Jia walked out of his film because of the complete hostile atmosphere. So she walked out and she was only 16, underage. So After that, after how many 7 years, he comes at the funeral saying she was depressed. How do you know? Why are you endorsing? You don't even know her after that. And when I said, no, sir, she was not depressed, there were other people who have heard it. And he said, चुप हो जाओ, नहीं तो तुम्हें भी इंजेक्शन देके सुला देंगे. कौन ऐसी रोती माँ से और ग्रीविंग माँ से ऐसी बात करता है? No remorse, nothing. Heartless people. They came to endorse. आज कोई नहीं खड़ा है मेरे साथ में. 7.5 साल हो गए ये जंग मैं लड़ रही हूँ अपनी बेटी के लिए. To give her that honor and respect. क्योंकि वो चली गई है तो सारा इल्जाम उसके ऊपर लगा दो. पर उसकी आवाज तो हम है ना. हम तो अपनी बच्ची को जानते हैं. सो इस तरह के ये आज बॉलीवुड सारा चुप है. इस तरह की बातों को वो लोग एंडोर्स करते हैं. शर्म की बात है. तो आप मुझसे सीबीआई ऑफिसर ने, एक मिनट सुनील, मुझसे सीबीआई ऑफिसर ने कहा कि तुम्हारा क्या वो है महेश भट्ट के साथ. ऐसे कुछ नहीं. 2-3 दफा मैंने जब मैं गई थी वहां पर तो मुझे कुछ अप्रोप्रिएट नहीं लगा तो मेरी बच्ची वॉकड आउट. बस यही है. तो वही उनका एजेंडा यही होगा. मे बी ही इज रिवेंजफुल और व्हाट, आई हैव नो आइडिया. हम तो मिले भी नहीं उनको. आप कुछ कह रहे थे, सॉरी मैंने आपको इंटरप्ट कर दिया.
मैं ये पूछ रहा था मैम कि ऐसा नहीं है कि आपके इसमें अब कोई नहीं है, क्योंकि मैं ये 50 दिन का मूवमेंट देख रहा हूँ. 50 दिन से जो सोशल मीडिया पे चल रहा है, जो फैंस जुड़ रहे हैं, अगर वो 3-4 केसेस का रेफरेंस देते हैं तो पहला केस आपका ही होता है, यानी जिया खान मर्डर केस का ही होता है, मिस्टीरियस डेथ केस का ही होता है. सॉरी आई सेड मर्डर केस, मिस्टीरियस डेथ केस का ही होता है. उसके बाद वो बात करते हैं दिव्या भारती, और अब बहुत ज्यादा बात, देन कम्स श्रीदेवी ऑल्सो. I have not too much of idea of that case. I don't talk about it. And now comes the Disha Sanghi. So today I don't think you are alone. Today you are not alone.
आप लोगों का सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. लेकिन ये बात मैं एक तरह से मुझे बड़ा दुख होता है क्योंकि जिस वक्त मैं कह रही थी और सारे यही लोग, महेश भट्ट जैसे लोग आके एंडोर्स कर रहे थे डिप्रेशन स्टोरी, और वो अब फिर रिपीट हो रही है सुशांत के केस में, दिशा के केस में और दूसरे केसेस में कि हर एक इंसान इनकी नजरिया से डिप्रेस्ड है, बाइपोलर है, इनको ये प्रॉब्लम है, वो प्रॉब्लम है. ये सब इनकी बनाई हुई कहानियां होती हैं सिर्फ क्रिमिनलिटी को ढांकने के लिए.
हर इंसान मैम जो डिप्रेस होता है वो सुसाइड कर लेता है.
नहीं, हर इंसान को जिसको मार देते हैं ये लोग, वो इनको क्लेम कर देते हैं ये डिप्रेस थे. ये तो और पुलिस उनकी तरफ जाती है, पुलिस उनके धुएं की तरफ जाती है. क्यों? बिकॉज पुलिस ने ये तय कर लिया है इम्प्यूनिटी का, यानी कि हमको मालूम है इन्होंने किया है कसूर, हमें सजा नहीं देनी है. सारी बात आज महाराष्ट्र गवर्नमेंट की भी और पुलिस की भी यही है. हमें मालूम है किसने सुशांत को मारा है, हमें मालूम है कि ये मर्डर है, हमें मालूम है कि दिया सालियान भी मर्डर हुई है, हमें मालूम है जिया खान भी मर्डर हुई है. लेकिन आप क्या कर लोगे? हमें पनिश नहीं करना. बच्चे समझ के इनको छोड़ दो. बात अभी इसी बात की हो रही है. आपको सच मालूम है, दुनिया को सच मालूम है, हमको सच मालूम है, इनको भी सच मालूम है. लेकिन इन्होंने बस,
हाँ, सबसे जरूरी है कि बिहार गवर्नमेंट ने रिकमेंड किया, बिहार गवर्नमेंट अब मानती है कि एक मर्डर.
बिहार गवर्नमेंट माने, सारी दुनिया मानती है सुनील, सारी दुनिया मानती है. और सारी दुनिया कह रही है कि दूसरी एजेंसीज को लाओ इन्वेस्टिगेट करने के लिए. आप समझ रहे हैं? और ये सब, ये जो बॉलीवुड के ये जो मशरूम्स हैं, ये कबाल है एक बॉलीवुड का, जो अंधेरा क्रिएट करते हैं और धुआं फेंकते हैं ताकि सारा सच उनका छुप जाए उस अंधेरे के अंदर. मैं आपको एक बात बताना चाहती हूँ कि जिस वक्त जजमेंट मिला था सीबीआई को हमारा केस चला जाए, आई विल इंट्रोड्यूस यू माय हस्बैंड हु विल एक्सप्लेन यू दिस वेरी क्लियरली. अगर आप बस सिर्फ उनको 1 मिनट दें, मैं उनको बुलाती हूँ. ही विल सिट हियर एंड ही विल एक्सप्लेन यू द जजेस जजमेंट ऑन दैट. एंड आपको फिर अंदाजा लग जाएगा कि सीबीआई भी कितनी डरी हुई थी. उनको मालूम था कि बंबई में क्या होगा, इसीलिए सो प्रीकंसीवमेंट लेके सीबीआई थी. आज आप सीबीआई की बात करते हैं, हो सकता है सीबीआई को मिल भी जाएगा, फिर भी कितनी डिफिकल्टी सीबीआई के लिए क्रिएट होगी ना, वो आप इस जज के स्टेटमेंट से ही आप सुन लीजिएगा. मैं बुलाती हूँ अपने हस्बैंड को. आप अगर आपको आप बुरा ना माने तो मैं इनको बुलाती हूँ. प्लीज आप इजाजत दीजिए. 1 मिनट. दिस इज
Rabia Khan's husband and his father is now joining. Hi, sir. Thank you so much for
Hi,
connecting. We have never met. We have never spoken. For viewers also, if you can just give a small introduction about yourself, because I know that if I'm right, I don't know if I'm right. People call you Tom. Is that right?
Yeah, or Tipo.
Okay.
Tipo is my Indian name.
So what do you do, sir? What do you do, sir?
Oh, I'm in investment banking. I do mining finance, precious metals. So, but I have a scientific background, and I've approached this whole case from a legal scientific perspective. I don't want to speculate about anything, but the facts speak for themselves. And what Rabia was talking about, if you want to know more about how the CBI investigation came about and how it went off track, then it started after it became crystal clear that the Juhu police was compromised. We then went back to the High Court. That was in 2014 to request transfer to CBI. And this is when Mr. Jiah represented us. And the judge in this case, we were lucky to have a judge who actually completely looked through the scam that was going on within the Juhu police. He completely saw what were the games that were being played. And so in July 2014, Bombay High Court ordered to transfer the investigation to the CBI with a very clear, straightforward mandate for CBI to investigate further, report back to the court, which never happened, and to investigate on the basis of finding out whether this was a homicidal or suicidal hanging, and in the event of homicides, to do then appropriate necessary further investigation. So the mandate from the High Court was very clear. It's already started during the courts when someone allegedly on behalf of CBI tried to avoid getting the case transferred to CBI. It turned out this person had no authority to speak for CBI, and the judge made a note in the order to that extent. And also the US consulate had been following the case very closely because Jiah was a US citizen, and FBI had previously offered any possible assistance possible in assisting the Juhu police or CBI, whoever. Obviously, that was turned down, and unfortunately, legally, the FBI cannot do anything in a foreign jurisdiction unless the Indian authorities would request assistance from the FBI, which of course conveniently they never did, because they said, oh, we've got it under control, so to speak, we've got it all covered up. So what happened then when CBI took over the investigation? Initially, it seemed to go all right. They started taking Rabia's statements very extensively, and we went to London. Then I think in August, September, CBI started the investigation. In September, 14th September, the leading investigators of the CBI team in charge happens to be in London, allegedly on a different case with Scotland Yard. So they met us in London privately for about 6 hours. And in that conversation, they told us that, yes, we've looked at this and we're beyond the question whether it's homicide or suicide. It's clear that it's a homicide. Now it's all about framing the case and putting it all together. That's what they said verbally. Then investigation took its course and it started getting delayed. And 2-3 months later, we started getting suspicious because what you would normally expect in such an investigation where the CBI is supposed to find out whether it's homicide or suicide, the first thing they should do, is to get a proper independent forensic opinion to tell them what the evidence, the medical evidence suggests, whether there's any doubt of homicide. And only once you could completely rule out homicide beyond reasonable doubt, you could say, fine, we have checked everything, there's no possibility of homicide, so then they could go on the suicide story. what CBI did, it took them easily 9 months into the investigation to even come up with some kind of forensic report. And it was even more twisted. We had a meeting with the US consulate in February in Bombay at our place with CBI, the US consulate, and the lady from the US consulate was putting pressure on CBI to give us a date when they would come up with a forensic opinion. And CBI said, oh, we've put out a tender, we've contacted several institutes, including AIMS in Delhi, PGI in Chandigarh, and others. And the report would come latest by mid-March. So mid-March.
Adjust the frame a bit. You don't have to adjust the frame. Just take your chair a little on the right, on the left side, and ask Rabia ma'am also to be in the frame. Okay. So that she's also just a little bit. Yeah, on the left. That's fine. Now carry on. Go ahead.
March came and went, and there was no forensic opinion from CBI, and that's when it became clear that CBI's investigation had also gone off track for whatever reason, and they were doing all kinds of random investigation into secondary issues, but nothing on the forensics. So we kept asking, when is the forensic report coming? And in July, we said, this is enough, we take legal action. We went to the magistrate courts to ask the courts to expedite, to ask PGI to expedite the case, because CBI kept saying, oh yeah, it's waiting at PGI, it's on the file, it's out of our control, it takes time. So we asked the court. There were 3 court hearings where no one from CBI bothered to show up. Then end of July, we asked CBI again and put more pressure on the court, and then miraculously, the so-called forensic opinion from PGI appeared, just as it happens, and so very conveniently, just at the same time.
Sorry to interrupt, but what I'm saying that CBI actually was going on the right path, but you can see through the journey that they were under a lot of pressure.
So they were going slow. They were going slow. They were going on the right path, but they were going slow.
Yeah, but no, they were put under pressure not to progress the investigation. They had raided the place. Now, what was the point? If it was a suicide, CBI would come within a week and say, look, we have got all the evidences, it is suicide. As a High Court mandate, they were following the homicidal angle, and they raided the place of the accused. When they raided the accused place, they found some incriminating evidences. For example, that night, Jia had given a lot of money to be given for new order of jewelry. From the statements of the accused and others, we have come to know that yes, Jia had given a new order for the jewelry. So CBI did find out and collected that money from that from the house and few other whatever material to know that to establish that they were in a live-in relationship. CBI found out that he had forced her into abortion, and they came to know this from Dr. Datta. Police had hidden all these facts. So this is why the case, Sushant Singh case, if it goes to CBI, some facts will light up. And I will be very happy if it goes to CBI. And it has to go under the supervision of the High Court.
There is a noting, ma'am, one second. Sorry to interrupt you. People, I want to know, there was a noting that apparently ma'am was talking about.
Yeah.
In that
court order. About the judgment
read that noting out, because that she said there was something startling there. Yeah. So if you can read that out.
You mean the High Court judgment?
Yeah, High Court.
If you remember,
yeah, the judgment.
The judgment. Do you have a copy? Judgment copy you have?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now.
But I have, I
but it says.
No, you can read it.
Okay, if it's not handy, if it's not there,
it is there.
Then it's okay.
Hold on. Yeah, it is there.
Okay, so if you can just read that out. What is that relevant portion?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to read
this. And what judgment is this? Also mentioned that.
This
is judgment hai? जिसको लेकर मैम ये बात हो रही है।
Yeah, it is a High Court judgment, petition 919.
Okay. और ये कब का है?
Matter to go
कब
to
का है?
CBI. It's 2014.
Okay.
Yeah. So the key.
Yeah.
The key passage in the order is that we therefore direct the Central Bureau of Investigation to carry out further investigation and then submit a report to the concerned court. And this is actually how it should have been performed, because what happened in our case, CBI went off and did their investigation. Initially, it went, like Abia said, they tried to do their job. Even the investigating officer was trying to do the right thing. And later, in the late stages, just before they filed a charge sheet, he told us that he had a dispute and a fight with his superiors in a meeting in Delhi. So he was trying to do his job to his credit, but he was overruled by his superiors who had some different agenda, apparently.
Yeah, because who was influenced.
Okay. And the CBI never reported back to the High Court.
What did the judge say about CBI? He said about CBI's conduct, the way they were behaving. Yeah.
No, and then it says to consider whether this is a case of suicidal or homicidal death. If it comes to the conclusion that it is a homicidal death, then further investigation be made to find out who is the perpetrator of this crime and accordingly action to be taken.
Yeah. About the CBI, what they said about the conduct, how CBI was reluctant to take this case.
If you're not able to find it, fine. Otherwise,
no, it's one comment. I must say, in this case, the judge was really spot on, and we've had all kinds of experiences. Yeah, I read this first. This is in section 7. We are surprised and anguished by the stand taken by the CBI. In the first place, we are of the view that the concerned officer does not have the appropriate authority to give the instruction which were made by Ms. Rebecca so-and-so, learned advocate for the CBI. On the instructions of Mr. Singh, additional senior so-and-so of CBI, has any difficulties in respect of getting logistical support and other support from local police, requests could have been made to the court, and this court could have directed the state to provide such logistical and other support. In our view, ultimately, the interest of a citizen is more important. An agency such as CBI cannot come up with an excuse that it does not have additional infrastructure or machinery to carry out investigation. Ultimately, when an offense is committed, it is a crime against society at large, and it is the duty of the state to protect its citizens, and it should come forward to investigate. It is not expected that CBI should come with an excuse that the matter should not be transferred to it because it doesn't have adequate machinery or officers for the purpose of carrying out an investigation. It is unfortunate that we are informed that there are only 11 officers in the investigation team. In a country which has a population of more than 1 billion, it is not expected that the CBI should come up with such an excuse, since maintenance of law and order is the prime responsibility of the state and also of the Union of India. We must point out here that the petitioner's daughter is a US citizen, and 2 officers from the United States Consulate were present throughout the hearing, not only today, but also the day before yesterday when the matter was heard at length. We believe that the state should take note of this fact, and we hope that such type of ridiculous and unfortunate submission should not be made across the bar. We must express our displeasure over the attitude and stance taken by the CBI. If the CBI takes such a stance that it doesn't have additional machinery, then one wonders where a citizen should go if the state machinery is found deficient in providing protection and conducting investigation.
That's very strong. That's the stricture. This is basically passing a strictures against the CBI. मैं बता दूं क्या कह रहे हैं वो जो CBI के जज थे जिन्होंने ये फैसला दिया था, उनमें उन्होंने कुछ ऑब्जर्वेशंस दिए थे. उस ऑब्जर्वेशंस में कहा था कि CBI ने ये कहा है कि उनके पास स्टाफ नहीं है. उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि उनको लोकल पुलिस से हेल्प नहीं मिल रही. तो उन्होंने कहा कि स्टाफ की बात नहीं करना, ऐसे देश में जहां 1 बिलियन से ज्यादा पॉपुलेशन हो, करोड़ 125-15 करोड़ पॉपुलेशन लगभग रही होगी उस वक्त। 115 करोड़ पॉपुलेशन में आप कहें कि मेरे पास केवल 11 ऑफिसर है, ये लॉजिक कोई समझने वाला नहीं है, समझ में आएगी भी। उन्होंने ये भी कहा था अगर लोकल पुलिस का हेल्प नहीं मिल रहा था तो यू कुड हैव अप्रोच द कोर्ट, वी कुड हैव हेल्प यू इन सीकिंग ऑल दैट हेल्प। और ये बात सारी चीजें कही गई थी कोर्ट में, उस जजमेंट में। ये जजमेंट को कोट कर रहे थे टीपू, जिस जजमेंट में ये कहा गया था कि जो कुछ भी सीबीआई ने कहा वो अनबिकमिंग ऑफ अ प्रीमियर इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी है। उन्होंने जो शब्द यूज किए थे कि ये बहुत रेडिकुलस आर्ग्यूमेंट है टू गिव फॉर अ प्रीमियर इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी लाइक सीबीआई। तो उसका कहना कि उसके पास स्टाफ नहीं है, उसके पास लॉजिस्टिक नहीं है, उसके पास लोग मदद नहीं कर रहे हैं, इतना हेल्पलेस इन्वेस्टिगेटिंग एजेंसी हो जाएगी तो फिर आम लोगों का क्या होगा। जज ने यह भी लिखा कि किसी भी इंसान की, किसी भी सोसाइटी में रहने वाले किसी भी आम आदमी की जिंदगी की सेफ्टी की जिम्मेदारी स्टेट की होती है। स्टेट मतलब वो एजेंसी जो सुरक्षा के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, चाहे वो मुंबई पुलिस हो, चाहे वो बिहार पुलिस हो, चाहे वो सीबीआई हो। अगर वो फेल करती है तो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी स्टेट पे होती है और वो रिफ्लेक्शन होता है पूरी सोसाइटी पे। और ये केस बताता है कि किस तरह से स्टेट फेल हो गया अपने सिटीजन के राइट को प्रोटेक्ट करने का, वो सिटीजन जो बाहर का है, यहाँ का है भी नहीं। अमेरिकन 2 कॉन्सुलेट ऑफिसर्स की बात की उन्होंने कि वो दो दिन के लिए लगातार आए थे, अगर वो आ सकते हैं और पूरे दिन बैठ सकते हैं तो फिर हमारे लोगों को क्या हुआ। और उससे उन्होंने कहा कि इससे एग्जाम्पल लेना चाहिए। तो बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग स्ट्रिक्चर्स पास किए हैं जो टीपू ने पढ़ के सुनाया। ये जिया खान केस में जो ऑर्डर पास हुआ था उसका जिक्र करना। अब सवाल ये कि क्या इस तरह के ऑब्जर्वेशन के बाद मैम फिर भी, क्योंकि मैम ने बहुत सारी बातें कही, उन्होंने ये भी कहा कि सीबीआई इन्वेस्टिगेशन के बाद हमें फैक्ट्स का पता चला, लेकिन सवाल ये होता है कि लास्ट में क्या, एंड रिजल्ट क्या। एंड रिजल्ट ये है कि वो आज भी स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं, वो आज भी स्ट्रगल कर रहे हैं। तो क्या सुशांत के पेरेंट्स भी स्ट्रगल करेंगे? यस मैम, गो अहेड।
एक सेकंड, सीबीआई ने चार्जशीट अपने किसी भी प्रेशर पर प्रेमेच्योर चार्जशीट फाइल जरूर की है, लेकिन सीबीआई की उसी चार्जशीट के अंदर जो वो क्योंकि उनको कहा गया है, बॉलीवुड एक्टर आइकॉन्स उनको फोन करके कह रहे हैं कि हम इसको लॉन्च कर रहे हैं, अक्यूज को, इसको हीरो बना रहे हैं, इसके पर बड़ा पैसा डाल रहे हैं, इसको इंटरोगेट मत करो, इसकी मानसिक स्थिति को खराब मत करो, जो भी है, क्योंकि हमने उसको लॉन्च करना, बड़ा पैसा लग गया है। सीबीआई की अपनी साइकोलॉजिकल रिपोर्ट उसी चार्जशीट के अंदर कहती है, जो मैं पढ़ के बताती हूँ। कहता है, फाइनली द रिपोर्ट स्टेट्स that the subject was intentionally engaged in providing incomplete, fabricated information of the critical issues. Secondly, the second report says that he is concealing the relevant information about actual reasons behind that night and that incident. Importantly, this report also states it seems that he, the accused, was intentionally trying to show that Nafisa was suffering with the psychological problem. अब आप देखिए similarities in Sushant case and here, रिया चक्रवर्ती को के दिमाग में वो ये मेंटल है, ये मेंटल स्टेट है, किसने उसको कंडक्ट किया होगा, कौन था रिया चक्रवर्ती के आसपास भी बिसाइड सुशांत सिंह, ये भी जानना चाहिए, क्योंकि इसमें कितना सिमिलर बातें नजर आ रही हैं. So it is the accused actually who is intentionally trying to show that Nafisa, which is Jia, was suffering from psychological problems, stress, depression, and due to mental health problem that she committed suicide. So it is him who is saying she committed suicide. It is not CBI who is confirming that it is a case of suicide. अब आपको पूरी बात समझ में आ गई।
सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के केस में भी एग्जैक्टली यही हो रहा है।
यस,
केवल रिया को पता था सब।
रिया के दिमाग में ये मेंटल स्टेट और मेंटल डिप्रेशन की कहानी डाली किसने? वो लड़का बिफोर गोइंग टू यूरोप बिल्कुल ठीक था, यूरोप से आने के बाद
उनके ब्रदर इन लॉ ने, सुशांत के ब्रदर इन लॉ ने, विशाल कीर्ति ने एक ब्लॉग लिखा। उस ब्लॉग में लिखा है कि अब डिस्कशन इस बात पे नहीं होनी चाहिए कि क्या सुशांत सिंह राजपूत मेंटल स्टेटस से गुजर रहे थे, मेंटल एलिमेंट से गुजर रहे थे। डिस्कशन इस बात पे होनी चाहिए कि रिया चक्रवर्ती क्या किसी मेंटल इशू से अफेक्टेड हैं। उन्होंने सोशियोपैथी और साइकोपैथी का जिक्र किया। इट इज टाइम टू डिस्कस सोशियोपैथी, साइकोपैथी विज़ावी रिया चक्रवर्ती। दैट इज द कोऑर्डिनेट टॉपिक टू बी डिस्कस्ड। दैट्स व्हाट
वही बाइपोलर होगी, वही बाइपोलर होगी, उसी को मेंटल प्रॉब्लम होगी. और and the conclusion of that report, I will say, knowing that the accused is withholding material information, right, and intentionally manipulating information on critical questions, CBI proceeds to file a charge sheet without further investigation to reveal the information that the accused was known to be hiding information. And he is not giving his password of BBM to retrieve all the BBM messages, and we can retrieve the GPS. Now GPS tells exact location. So this is a very important information which is in a part of the charge sheet, which is documented.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tipu, tell me one thing. You traveled to India so many times because in connection with this case. How was your feeling about struggling with this case? I know how she felt. I know about that. But how did you feel about it?
I mean, I've been to India many times over the last more than 20 years, and it didn't exactly surprise me what we found was happening, but the extent of the distortion, corruption, and manipulation has even surprised me. It's just astounding when you deal with people who are supposedly intelligent, and I do believe they are intelligent. People always try and brush it off by saying, "Oh, the police is just lazy and incompetent." I think it would be an insult to the intelligence of the police officers and CBI to assume that. I don't think for a second that they are dumb or incompetent. They are very clever. If they want to, they could have done their job properly. And they're also not lazy because they have gone out of their way to cover it up. And that takes a lot of effort. So it's very surprising to see how this case has been distorted at every turn. I mean, just a little anecdote. I mean, if it wouldn't be so sad, it would be hilarious. We organized a candle march for Jiahs in Juhu. And of course, we had to go to the traffic police to get permission and get the police on board. So it would have normally been a simple exercise of filling out a form, giving them the date, and police would have been there to just seal off one part of the road. And then, sure enough, the Juhu police who handles the case got wind of it, and they got involved and did everything possible to just shy of prohibiting the candle march, making it as minuscule as possible. And we had spoken to an NGO organization who was willing to participate, and with 50 to 100 people. When the day came, none of them showed up. And sure enough, they had gotten a call from MLA to not show up. And this is the kind of stuff we had to deal with. It's ridiculous.
Coming to the point. Sorry, Sunil, coming to the point.
टीपू कह रहे हैं ना, आपको उसको ट्रांसलेट कीजिए, क्योंकि बहुत सारे दर्शक नहीं समझोगे, आप थोड़ा ट्रांसलेट कर दीजिए क्यों कह रहे हैं।
आप बेहतर होंगे अगर आप
नहीं आप प्लीज आप कह सकते हैं क्या हुआ था। वो
ये बता रहे हैं,
कैंडल लाइट प्रोटेस्ट की बात कर रहे हैं, वो क्या कैंडल लाइट प्रोटेस्ट में क्या हुआ
कि हमने जब जुलूस निकालना चाहा जिया की जस्टिस के लिए, जब मैटर सीबीआई के पास भेजना था, तो उस वक्त वहां के क्योंकि पुलिस की परमिशन लेनी थी, तो पुलिस हमको परमिशन नहीं दे रही है, उसमें बड़े नखरे कर रही है, और फिर परमिशन देने के बाद अच्छा में दिखाओ कौन सी तस्वीर डालोगी, और हमको रोड बंद करना पड़ेगा, आप यहाँ चल सकती हैं, आप वहां नहीं जा सकती, सब बड़े रिस्ट्रिक्शंस उन्होंने पैदा किए। और लोग बिहोल्ड, फिर जो एनजीओ पार्टिसिपेट करना चाह रहा था, वो एनजीओ ने कहा कि हमारे 150-200 लोग आपके जुलूस में शामिल होना चाहते हैं। तो हमने कहा ठीक है। तो जब वो उस पे भी पुलिस का इंटरफेरेंस था कि नहीं, आप ये इतनी इंजरी वाली तस्वीर ना डालना जिया की। और हमने जब प्रोसेशन, सिर्फ पार्क में ही आप प्रोसेशन कर सकते हैं, तो जब हमने प्रोसेशन किया तो देखा कि कोई नहीं आया। तो जब कोई नहीं आया तो पता चला, वो एनजीओ ने हमको फोन करके बताया कि एमएलए हैं वहां के, उन्होंने फोन करके उनको कहा कि कोई नहीं जाएगा। तो आप समझ रहे हैं कि ये इस तरह की हरकतें इनको तो
वो कैंडल लाइट प्रोटेस्ट नहीं हो पाया।
हाँ, और फिर जो बेचारे आसपास के जो लोग थे और कुछ हमारे दोस्त थे जो जिया के कुछ फैंस थे, बस वो लोग शामिल हो गए थे। पर मैं ये बात जो ये टीपू कह रहे हैं कि ये लोग बड़े इंटेलिजेंट लोग होते हैं, इसीलिए तो वो पुलिस और सीबीआई में है। ये लोगों को प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है, उनके पास में प्रॉपर माइंडसेट भी होता है कि हर चीज को किस नजर से देखने का। क्योंकि जब लास्ट प्रोसिक्यूटर जब सीबीआई का हमको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा था, तो उनके साथ में दूसरे और सीबीआई के ऑफिसर्स थे जो हमारे घर आए, क्राइम सीन पर आए, और उन्होंने जिया की कुछ तस्वीरें देखी, और उन तस्वीरों से उन्होंने कहा, वो इतने शातिर थे कि उन्होंने कहा कि जिसने इसको मारा है, अब देखिए कोट कीजिए, जिसने इसको मारा है वो बहुत बड़ा मार्शल आर्ट का एक्सपर्ट है। तो हमने कहा ये कैसे? कहते आप देखिए उसके कान के पीछे जो इंजरीज और ब्रूसेस हैं, जगह जगह उसके, इसको तो हेड पे भी ब्रूसेस बहुत आए होंगे, जो सीक्रेट प्लेसेस पे उनको मालूम है कि किस तरह नॉक डाउन करना है। तो वो शातिर, वो जो सीबीआई ऑफिसर पूरी टीम थी, उसको फौरन बदल दिया गया, फौरन उनको निकाल दिया गया। ये मैटर लेके हम लोग डीसीबीआई के पास गए। तो अब ये प्रेशर बॉम्बे में, जब तक बॉम्बे में हमारा केस होगा, तो बॉम्बे की वहां का स्टेट, वहां की पुलिस, वहां के ऑफिशियल्स जो हैं वो दबाव पैदा करेंगे। इसीलिए अगर सुशांत का केस,
अब आप मुझे बताइए कि अब सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के केस पे आते हैं। अब तो उसमें सीबीआई इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना लगभग तय है, बिहार गवर्नमेंट ने कर दिया। आपको क्या लगता है कि आपको लगता है कि जो जिया खान में नहीं मिल पाया वो सुशांत सिंह राजपूत में मिलेगा? क्योंकि उस वक्त आपको ये सपोर्ट नहीं था जो आज है। बात जिया खान की नहीं, बात सिंबल की है। अगर जिया खान में ये हो गया होता तो सुशांत नहीं होता, अगर दिव्या भारती में ये हो गया होता तो जिया खान नहीं, उनके साथ नहीं हुआ होता। तो कहीं ना कहीं कोई ना कोई एक शुरुआत तो होती है। ये अफसोस की बात है कि दिव्या भारती भी चली गई, जिया खान भी को भी जाना पड़ा और सुशांत को भी जाना पड़ा। लेकिन ये तीन के जाने के बाद भी अगर ये सिलसिला रुक जाए तो क्या आपको लगता है कि अब इस बार सीबीआई, क्योंकि लोगों का जो प्रेशर है, जो फैंस का प्रेशर है, जो फैंस जिस तरह से इसको फॉलो कर रहे हैं, इस बार कुछ बदलेगा?
देखिए सुनील, जब तक गवर्नमेंट इम्प्यूनिटी के साथ चलेगी ना कि हमें सजा नहीं देनी है इनको, आप समझ जाइए, ये बॉलीवुड के बड़े बड़े स्टार्स हैं, ये इनको स्टार समझेगी और इनको सजा नहीं देगी, क्रिमिनल की नजर से नहीं देखेगी ना, ये होता ही रहेगा। अगर जिया के वक्त भी क्रिमिनल को सजा मिल गई होती, और अगर दिव्या भारती के वक्त और श्रीदेवी के वक्त अगर चूंकि इनको पता होता, तो वो डर जाते। आज सऊदी अरेबिया में फॉर एग्जांपल एक बात मैं बता रही हूँ, ऐसे मुल्कों में क्राइम रेट्स, जैसे इवन इंग्लैंड में क्राइम रेट्स क्यों रिड्यूस्ड है? क्योंकि उनको सजा मिलती है, गवर्नमेंट इम्प्यूनिटी के साथ नहीं चलती है, गवर्नमेंट सजा देती है क्रिमिनल्स को। तो अगर इनको पता होगा कि सजा मिलेगी तो फिर ठीक है। अब आप बताइए, क्योंकि वो एक्टर हैं और उनके लिए सारे 100 गुना माफ है, वो रेप भी कर लें, वो ड्रग्स
मुझे
भी
तो ये
सप्लाई
समझ
कर
में
दें।
नहीं आता ऐसे कैसे होता है कि जब कोई सुसाइड करता है कोई एक्टर, तो या तो वो गिर जाता है या लटक जाता है। ये दो ही तरह के सुसाइड हो रहे हैं एक्टर।
ठीक है, सुसाइड कह दो तो फिर अब आप उसको 20 साल लगा लीजिए मर्डर प्रूफ करने में, आप समझ रहे? और उस दौरान वो प्रूफ करने में, इन्वेस्टिगेशन के वक्त वो लोग सोचते हैं हम मैनेज कर लेंगे सबको, कि सब पैसे से बिकते हैं और सब पैसा खा लेंगे, और सब कुछ किसी भी तरह, चाहे पैसा है, चाहे स्टेटस है, चाहे पावर है, जो भी है, इन्फ्लुएंस करने में वो लग जाते हैं, और कुछ ऑफिसर उस इन्फ्लुएंस में आ जाते हैं।
Okay, ma'am. So you get this sense of a positivity now that the CBI investigation has been handled, is likely to be, इस केस में सुशांत सिंह राजपूत केस को भी हैंडेड ओवर।
हर केस जिया खान केस नहीं हो सकता है, लेकिन मैं सोचती हूँ कि वो पेंडोरा बॉक्स जब खुलेगा सुशांत सिंह का, तो सबके सब ये, क्योंकि सेम सीरियल किलर्स हैं, सेम पार्टी है, तो सबके सब लोग भी शॉक्ड हो जाएंगे ना। इट विल क्रिएट अ हिस्ट्री, it will be remembered for generations, so it will create that kind of fear in individual.
So that means Tipu, both you and Rabia Khan, both of you are actually pinning your hopes also on this case, right? Is that correct?
Yes, we are. Even if Jia Khan's case opens, for example, goes on the right direction of investigation, CBI completes the investigation, so because it is the same killers, so Sushant's case will become like a walk in the park.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So it's sad enough.
Yeah, please. Yep,
it's sad enough if Sushant had to be killed to reopen Jiahs case, and it's probably Sushant would still be alive if the police had done their job in Jiahs case in the first place. But there's a critical mass, and if there's enough momentum in this case that the political corruption is reaching a point where it's no longer sustainable, and maybe the government finally has to do something about it, and maybe things will change and get cleaned up.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks, Tipu. Thank you so much, and thank Ravi ma'am to you as well. So that's where we will leave this conversation. Thanks a lot for connecting and talking to me. I'll just take a small 2 to 3 minutes break, 10, 15, 5 minutes break, and 10, 15 exactly I'll be back with Neha, and we will talk about most important development of the day. That is Narayan Rane talking about Disha Salyan, and then how your movement started on 14th or 15th of June and where it has reached on the 51st day, where Bihar government ordered or recommended or notified a CBI investigation into Sushant Singh Rajput mysterious death case. It's up to the central government, that is Modi government now, to decide when and how quickly they can order a CBI probe. So tomorrow, a key date, also because Supreme Court is slated to hear Riya Chakravarti's petition. What happens to that, we'll see in the morning. But just a 2-3 minutes break, and 10 to 15 sharp, I'll be back with Neha Joshi. Thanks a lot. Connect in 5 minutes.